Burn. I'm your host, Alex Blackburn. We got a show on a Sunday, finally. Look at that. And on a Halloween weekend, no less. As an adult, I really don't do that much Halloween stuff anymore. But I kind of celebrate a little bit. Kind of just went out with the rugby guys a little and hung out with my girlfriend and kind of sat around and was married. So, got quite a lot to talk about though today. It's going to be a pretty hefty show. So stay tuned for the good stuff. Got Chiefs, Royals, the Royals, in October, almost November. Believe it or not, we're talking about the Royals in October, and it's 2022. But we'll get to that. Kansas City Current, the Jayhawks, Wildcats, Tigers, Blues, and some fantasy football news as well. So, come on in, make yourself at home, and let's just get this started, shall we? If there's continuing audio issues as well, I did a test broadcast and the audio was fine. I know that last week we had some pretty interesting audio issues, but test broadcast went over okay, so hopefully this broadcast goes over as well. But if there are any audio issues, don't hesitate to let me know. I will try and fix them. I don't think there's anything wrong with my mic. I think Facebook Live is just being kind of annoying. So, yeah. This is why SoundCloud and Spotify are in the future, I hope. But we'll see. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes. No. Enough pleasantries. So, the Royals hired a new manager today. Finally. The guy's name is Matt Quintaro, I believe is what his name is. Let me clarify that. It's Matt Q, I know that much. But, yeah, Matt Quintaro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But he is the 18th Royals manager in franchise history. 18th. Which, is a lot of managers. Hopefully this guy will stick around a while. Obviously with the Royals, it's kind of hard to hash out a good coaching staff and a good GM, being a small market team and getting kind of picked apart by the bigger boys. But from what I read on this guy, he was bench coach for the Rays, did some work with the Cleveland Guardians for a while, and he's a player's coach, which I think is really important in today's MLB. I think he'll do great with the young core, and hopefully kind of carry that charisma, that mentality, and that knowledge from teams that regularly make the playoffs, i.e. the Guardians and the Rays. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of stuff he brings to the table. We're still waiting on the Cal Aldred replacement, obviously, so kind of waiting and seeing how the pitching is going to go, but I like this manager choice. I think he'll do very well in developing this young core and kind of showing what he can do in terms of development, for sure. But he'll definitely show what he can do with development if given the chance, because he's again worked with some very good postseason contenders, and very young postseason contenders at that, in the Rays and the Guardians. So I'm excited. He's a good choice. I think that there were plenty of other options on the table, but this is by no means a bad one. So I think the Royals did good here. So we'll see what happens. I didn't like the Matheny choice when it first came around. I thought he was a little too old to be leading such a young team and such a developing team. He's just he just had that old school mentality. Wasn't willing to progress. He was too conservative with his management style. And I think this is going to be a welcome breath of fresh air for the Royals organization, which needs a welcome breath of fresh air right now. 2014 and 2015 feel like they were 20 years ago, and it's time that this team gets back to those days, to development and to seeing the fruits of that development. So, again, I really like this. I like this manager. So, moving on to. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I'll be right back. I gotta blow my nose. It's kind of itchy right now. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. Ugh. Alrighty. Sorry about that. My nose has been kind of itchy because allergy season, and it's the best. Continuing on though, we got some Chiefs stuff to talk about as well. I know that in last week's ScorchCast, I said that I wasn't going to talk too much about the Chiefs, but here we are. We're talking about the Chiefs because they made a trade and could possibly continue to make trades. And yes, I know it's the bye week, but Chiefs are still making waves because it's the NFL, and the NFL doesn't stop. It's truly like one of the most ever. I don't know the proper word to describe the news cycle of the NFL, but it just doesn't end. It's unending. So forgive me for talking about the Chiefs when I said that I wasn't going to talk about the Chiefs. Continuing on, the Chiefs made a trade for wide receiver Kadarius Toney. I think it's a solid pickup. Is a low cost, high ceiling type of pick and low risk as well. You're not giving away too much in terms of draft capital or of capital to get the guy, and he could prove to pay dividends as well. I think he kind of got off to a bad start in New York with the coaching staff that was there. I mean, we can all agree that Joe Judge was not the best guy for the job there. And with the current regime there, they're doing well, but obviously, they did not. Jeez Louise, sorry guys. They did not see a need for Kadarius Toney, and one thing of note that I kind of wanted to touch on was the former quarterback coach of the New York Giants, of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike Kafka is their offensive coordinator now, and he's probably the one that kind of gave the Chiefs the flyer on Toney, which could raise a little bit of concern, just because if he sees, I don't know. It's AFC, NFC, and the Giants aren't playing the Chiefs this year. but it is kind of it's interesting to see that a contender is saying, yeah, no, we don't want this guy. You can have him. When he's been there only a couple of years, I have some reservations about that. I still think it's a good pick. I still think it's low risk. And I still think it could definitely prove dividends. But that's kind of a thing to note here is that Kadarius Toney is he's young, but being from a contender and not getting those shots to be a part of that wide receiving core, especially when it's so beat up. I mean, the Giants' wide receiver room is running thin right now. So for them to give up this wide receiver to, obviously it's not a division or conference rival, but it's still another NFL team. It's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. But again, I have no problems personally. I think it's low risk. I don't think we really gave a whole lot away to get Toney, and I think if he can prove that he was worth the first round pick, when it comes to when the Giants picked him. I mean, this guy was supposed to be the next Tyreek Hill, which I know that is thrown around a lot. Like, just, I don't know. It's thrown around a lot. And I, frankly speaking, am kind of numb to people comparing wide receivers to Tyreek Hill. I don't think we need another Tyreek Hill. I don't think that's the reason we picked Toney up off of the Giants. I think he's there to show his potential and to possibly make an impact. But as of right now, I don't see him passing on anybody in the depth chart except for maybe Sky Moore. He's almost automatically going to be in there for punt team, especially after the showing Sky Moore's had. And Kadarius Toney just has that ability. And he's shown that he's had some good games, too. So he could find his way into the rotation pretty easy, depending on which Kadarius Toney shows up. So we'll just have to see. He's had some good games. I don't know if any of you remember last year or even pay attention to anything outside of Chiefs football when it comes to the NFL, but he had a monster game against the Dallas Cowboys last year where he racked up over 150 yards and 2 scores. So yeah, he's got the ability to be a game changer, to be a star. But he's just inconsistent. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So we'll see if he can turn that inconsistency into consistency with, in my opinion at least, a better coaching staff and a better quarterback as well. Because we know Daniel Jones is not exactly the greatest quarterback of all time. While Patrick Mahomes is certainly in that conversation. So do with that information what you will. Continuing on with the trade deadline stuff. I put a poll out this past week regarding who the Chiefs, if anyone, should pick up regarding or before the trade deadline, and I got some responses. I think that we've got a solid little group of responses here. The poll itself ran for a day, and the Instagram results are kind of telling. Who will the Chiefs require before the deadline? was the question, and I had 4 choices because for some reason that's all Instagram allows to give me. That being said, still go follow the Burn KC on Instagram. I post quite a bit there, as well as the Twitter. Go do it. Thank you. But we had 4 choices here, and it was 80-20 for 2 choices, and that was OBJ and Brandon Cooks, and 80% of you said OBJ, and I've made my opinion known on OBJ in the article that, excuse me, went along with this poll. I like the thought of OBJ coming here. I am worried about the attitude that he is going to bring, though. I'm worried that if he's not wide receiver 2, he's gonna complain and he's gonna, whine about targets like he has everywhere else that he's been. Maybe the injury humbled him. I don't know. He was decent on the Rams. But do I think he's worth a payday for any massive amount? Not really. I think he's very overblown because of just what he did in his early years. I think he's coming into not necessarily the twilight of his career, but his prime is starting to go down. But he's a veteran presence, and otherwise very young wide receiver core. And it could definitely benefit the Chiefs wide receivers to have that veteran presence. But the question is, does he have the attitude to be a servant teammate rather than a teammate that only cares about himself? And that's kind of the main question when it comes to OBJ. Which is why I put Brandon Cooks up there, and is why people are talking about Brandon Cooks, is because Brandon Cooks doesn't really have that, and he's a veteran wide receiver who kind of flies under the radar in terms of his career accolades. He's got a couple Super Bowls under his belt. He's an experienced postseason wide receiver, and I really do think that he could make an impact if he's there and if he stays healthy. That's the main thing for both OBJ and Brandon Cooks, is if they stay healthy. OBJ's coming off an ACL tear. Brandon Cooks, he's had a history of injuries. But they're both veteran wide receivers that will make an immediate impact if they can pick them up. But with the acquiring of Kadarius Toney, it's kind of hard to say who now, at least, who the Chiefs are gonna decide to pick up. So it'll be interesting to see. But the other 2 choices were Brian Burns and Kareem Hunt. Nobody voted for them. And I can see why people are hesitant about Brian Burns. The Panthers denied 2 first-round picks for him. I don't see them dealing Brian Burns anytime soon. He's up on the trade block, but they're gonna ask a lot for him. It's not. Sorry. Sunday Night Football's going on in the background. Okay, that wasn't Aaron Rodgers. I thought Aaron Rodgers had gotten injured for a second, and I was like, oh no. Man, yeah, what a time to be a Packers fan, though. Shout out to my grandpa Gene. I digress, but And then Kareem Hunt, man, he had a shot with this team, and frankly speaking, he's probably going to ask for a payday because he's not that bad of a running back either. Um, if the Chiefs ended up picking him up, he would be the workhorse back. But we'll just have to see. Personally, I agree more with the comments that were made on this post, and I'll get to those here now. But I frankly agree more with the comments that were made on this on the Instagram story. So let me pull this up. But the first one was OBJ and Josh Allen seem to be most likely, or one or the other. Maybe Burns, but the Panthers are being sus. For those that know what the word sus means, it means suspect. It's what the Gen Z children are using. Yes, I feel old. Yes, I am in the second half of my 20s now. Am going to be in 19 days. I think that qualifies me for Medicare. I may have to look that up, but we'll see. If you can't tell, this is me being completely facetious. Read up on sarcasm. So, but I agree. I totally agree with you there, Brett. I see OBJ and Josh Allen being the viable options here, or one or the other. I think Josh Allen should be in. Before y'all say anything, this is not Josh Allen Buffalo Bills quarterback. This is Josh Allen Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end, or outside linebacker, I think. Or he's one of those. But I had a person or two comment on that and saying, why would we want to pick up Josh Allen if we have Patrick Mahomes? If you don't know that there are two Josh Allens in this league, please know that soon, because frankly speaking, I don't want to go in on explaining that. But yeah, Josh Allen, he's a great pass rusher, and I think he would be a young addition for one, and a good addition for two. Because while he's young, he's still a veteran, and Karlaftis is getting the pressures, but he's not getting the sacks. I think we can have him in as rotational, and I think we have, Frank Clark and Josh Allen bookending the defensive line with Dunlap and Dana and Karlaftis all kind of rotating in. But that's just me. It's not just me. I don't know why I said it was just me. A lot of other people think this. But I think the most realistic thing for the Chiefs here is to send Ronald Jones, who, mind you, is in that running back room, but has been tweeting some pretty interesting things about wanting a release, being very cryptic about it. He's not really being cryptic about it, he's not really being cryptic about it. But I think we send, especially with Travis Etienne being the lone back there in his injury issues, I think they could use Ronald Jones. So I think we send Ronald Jones in a fifth, Ronald Jones in 2 6th rounders, or a fourth even, to pick up Allen. I think that's the most viable option. Is Jones in a late round pick if we want to pursue Josh Allen. So I think that's a good call. So, but we had one more here from Coach Derek Pearson once again showing off his Nebraska fandom. And he says we should go try for Ndamukong Suh. I like the thought. I think he's a veteran presence that, again, will bring kind of that veteran mentality there that Terrell Suggs brought, that Carlos Dunlap is bringing. My only issue is the interior's fine. The defensive interior is fine. I don't think there's any issue with any of the interior linemen. I mean, Colin Saunders is going at 100 miles an hour, and he's improved so much since last year. Obviously, you have Chris Jones there, Tarek Wharton, at least when he's healthy, and a couple other big options that are plenty serviceable at the position at worst. I think we've got a great interior defensive line. It's just those linebackers need to learn how to fill the gaps when it comes to run defense. But I think if the Chiefs were to add Ndamukong Suh, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think I think the exterior linemen are what we should be worrying about, but maybe that frees someone up. And the more weapons, the merrier. At least until it's not. Which again I talked about in the article that this poll references. Go check it out. But yeah, I think that's an okay pick, and I think I would like him over Kareem Hunt, honestly. I think it is kind of goofy that people are saying that the Chiefs should trade for Kareem Hunt, bring back Kareem Hunt. Come on. So, anyways, after the long-winded discussion on the Chiefs, as always. Sorry guys, it's football season. And as most of you know, I am a very, very large Chiefs fan. And I like talking about them. So deal with it. But we do have a couple more teams that we got to talk about. We're nearing the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to try and not necessarily run through these super duper quick. I want to give each time and effort, and obviously I have notes here regarding each of the subjects so that I want to hit on. So let's continue on into the second half of this broadcast. There's no halftime, and there's no halftime show, so deal with it. But we've got the Kansas City Current, who last night they played in the NWSL Championship. Unfortunately, the result was not what... Ooh, my hit. Sorry. But the result was not what we wanted as Kansas Cityans. It was a 2-0 loss to the Portland Thorns, who had a few players on the women's national team playing for them. So it was a tough game the whole way. I mean, the Current did not get nearly as many offensive chances as they should have. There was some very good defense played by the Thorns throughout, and unfortunately, the Current defense was really good, just not good enough to let a couple of chances get through, unfortunately, and that's exactly what happened. It was just kind of an unlucky loss, and unfortunately it happened on the biggest stage. That being said, I think the Current's absolutely going to be back in the next couple of years and win it, even in the next couple of years. I don't necessarily... I have a lot of confidence in this team, and I think what they've done this year has been revolutionary. I think what they've done this year has been super important for the advancement of women's sports. And overall, I truly think that they will be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years. I mean, they didn't really have anybody on that team that was, in that U.S. women's pool. I'll have to take another look at the roster, but really, they went up against the likes of Megan Rapinoe, Carly LaBelle, and others to get to this point. So they're a tough team, and they'll be a force to be reckoned with because they're young, too. Unfortunately, the Cards didn't play the way that they wanted to, or that we wanted to, and they took a loss in the championship game. But I think for a team as young and as not full of big name talent, they did super, super well this year. And again, with everything that the current program has done for the advancement of women's soccer and women's sports is extremely commendable. So these ladies deserve all the love and respect that you can give them. So nice job, unlucky result. Gonna be back next year. So congrats to the Thorns. Sophie Smith is a baller, and she showed it against the Current last night. So congrats to her for winning the MVP and for her Thorns winning the championship. So moving on though to the Kansas Jayhawks. Yes, they had a bye too, believe it or not. But I'm not here to talk about their football team. I'm here to talk about their basketball team because if you don't know, basketball season's right around the corner. In fact, it's this coming week that the exhibition games start. And there's been some concerns raised regarding Jayhawk basketball. There was a quote-unquote secret scrimmage between the Jayhawks and the Fighting Illini of the University of Illinois. And by accounts of people who were there, it did not look pretty for the Jayhawks. They quote-unquote lost. They didn't keep score or anything like that, but it was kind of just, a pickup match where just players played and kind of, had some teaching moments and everything like that, from what I understood at least. And kind of discussed, maybe getting a home-and-home season set up, or a home-and-home series set up with the Illini. But I think when it comes to what I heard about this scrimmage, there's reason for concern with the Jayhawks. I think they have a lot of talent on this roster. I think that they will be still a force to be reckoned with in the Big 12. But there's definitely reason for skepticism in terms of the play of the big men specifically. According to accounts, the big men play was just not there. And I don't think a whole lot of people anticipated that, given the fact that, you got guys that are coming into their own, such as KJ Adams, such as Zach Clements, and, eventually Ernest Uday will be part of that mix as well. But you had an injury to Cam Martin, who was a super senior, and had the possibility of getting some minutes in, so that really stinks. And you're starting to lose depth at the big man position. It's not like Bill Self has not dealt with a team that doesn't have a consistent that doesn't have consistent front court play. I mean, last year even, you had inconsistent play from David McCormick, and they still won the championship. So I don't think it's too big of a concern. But kind of what I heard from Jayhawk reporters themselves, there might be a bit of cause for concern. But that's what the exhibition games are for. That's what practices are for, getting things ironed out, and that's what this secret scrimmage was for. Was to just get things ironed out and to get prepped for the season. The Jayhawks play Duke in just a couple of weeks, and Duke looks like Duke. I mean, they're going to be firing on all cylinders. They're going to be, shooting as well as they've been, and they're going to have the star power. The only thing that would be missing is Coach K, because obviously he's retired now. If you didn't catch that by last year's media circus over it, which I'm still annoyed about, mind you. But I think overall the Jayhawks will be fine. I think there's still plenty of reason to watch this team and to be optimistic. I don't believe that they're in any real trouble. Honestly, I can say the same about their football team. They're going to be going up against a tough Oklahoma State squad next week, but they're getting Jalen Daniels back. And, nothing for nothing, but Jalen Daniels is better than Jason Bean. And, Jason Bean showed that he can be serviceable, but it also showed that he can't win games. So Jalen Daniels shown that he can win and that he has the abilities to get right back in that Heisman race. So we'll just have to see what happens. I know that Oklahoma State squad is coming off of a pretty brutal loss against the Kansas State Wildcats, which, segue, we're going to talk about right now. This Kansas State Wildcat team, the resolve this team has shows me that they can easily contend for a Big 12 title this year. I mean, I'm not joking in the slightest. I think Will Howard had a great game last night, and it showed that Kansas State has depth, and they have a lot of power going into this latter half of the season, which is really where you need to get it. I think they're hitting their stride just right now. They got unlucky against TCU. They let it get away from them, but they've got a decent enough schedule headed into these final next few games. There's going to be competition. The Big 12 is still wide open, but I think that was a huge statement win from the Wildcats last night. Will Howard looked great. Deuce Vaughn looks great. The defense looked absolutely smothering. And I think they have a real shot at the Big 12 title if things keep going as well as they're going. TCU is going to be a real hard team to beat, but they've shown that they can be beatable. So just keep the faith, Wildcat fans. You had Spencer Sanders shaking in his boots, quite literally. I don't know if you've seen that video, but the dude's literally shaking as he's taking a snap, which is a pretty big sign that your quarterback's pretty rattled. So, I mean, shoot. Bill Snyder Family Stadium was a house of horrors last night. So, props to the K-State Wildcats. That burns my tongue to say, but you guys are good. You guys are real good this year, and I can't wait for the last game of the season. It's going to be fun. As for the Missouri Tigers, the Missouri Tigers upset Spencer Rattler, familiar face for OU fans, and the South Carolina Gamecocks in a 23-10 win. They looked real good and played real good. I mean, that's really all it came down to. I mean, those uniforms were really slick. I liked them a lot. And they showed it with excellent play. I mean, their quarterback looked accurate for the first time in quite a few games. And the defense shut down Spencer Rattler. I mean, they really did. And I think the Tigers will contend for the SEC like Kansas State in the Big 12? Absolutely not. But this was a good win for this team in terms of possibly pursuing bowl eligibility. Wouldn't it be a real quinky dink if KU and MU somehow, some way end up in the same bowl? Just food for thought. It's a possibility. It's not a huge one, but I can dream, right? But a good win by the Tigers. And again, yeah, KU football was on a bye week, so obviously nothing really much to talk about there, other than the fact that Jalen Daniels is going to be back for the Oklahoma State game. So that'll be good. That'll be real good. So, anyways, moving on to our second to last topic of the evening, and that is the Kansas City Blues. Kansas City Blues played their regular season finale. They played the regular season finale against the Palmer College Dragons, and they came out on top convincingly with a 55-22 victory, and ended the season on a high note. Unfortunately, the Blues did not make the playoffs after the loss against the Bombers last week. So not an unlucky season, but still a good season to build on, and lots of pieces coming together for this Blues squad. I think there's quite a bit to work with there. Blues D3 was also pretty successful against the Belleville Rowdies in a 69. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nice. It was actually 66. But 66-5 victory over the Belleville Rowdies. And boy howdy, that was totally meant to rhyme, by the way. But boy howdy, they really took it to them. Well, we really took it to them. Yeah, that's right, folks. I was out there, and I played in that game, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it felt really good to get out there and to go play in a match where you just absolutely dominated. And we had a lot of great play from a lot of great players. Zach Cohen was handing out stiff arms like they were candying on Halloween. I mean, he was celebrating in style, folks. And, we had a lot of great play from Holden Seeley, and a couple other big-time D3 players that make a case for themselves come springtime as well. During the spring developmental session, they'll continue to build, and that D3 squad will continue to build and give some of these D1 guys a run for their money. Obviously, that happened this year. You had a lot of moving parts and a lot of guys competing for those spots, and I think that the Blues have a young core that can be worked around for the first time in a while. It's not the same old song and dance. It's guys that are fresh from the developmental side and are young as well. That Derek Pearson has done a great job with, and I fully expect the spring to go real well too. and next fall even to go over really well. There's a lot of promise for this team. They can beat these big time squads like the Bombers, like the Chicago Lions, Metropolis as well. Just these teams that are mainstays in contention, and the Blues are too. Don't get me wrong, but kind of getting over that hump is going to happen sooner than we think. So, nice job, hell of a season for the Kansas City Blues. Got to celebrate in style last night. It was a lot of fun. Got to introduce my girlfriend to how we do things at KC Blues Rugby, and it was a great time. Shout out to the Dirty Bird, the new Kansas City Blues bar. So, had a great time there. Anyway, let's see here. Our final topic for the night, though, is fantasy football. My personal favorite topic right now. Believe me, totally nothing's going wrong there at all. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Let's check the standings, shall we? Golly. Yeah. I'm currently losing 133.24 to 72.58. If that's any indication as to why I am a little pressed about this topic. I still have Nick Chubb and Hayden Hurst to play, so we'll see how they do. Could be a real good matchup there. If Hayden Hurst, decides to screw around and score 30 points, and Nick Chubb decides to screw around and score 30 points. But right now my win probability is at 6%. So I don't think I'm winning. But let's go around the league, shall we? And go to some actual contenders. Believe me, I know about fantasy football. I promise. I am 6-1 in another league, about to be 7-1, and I am I don't know, in my other league. Hold on. I am. Let me look at the record. 3-4 in the other league, so not as good as I thought. And I may take a loss this week too in that league, as my stepbrother Levi has Joe Burrow. I want to say McKenzie has -0.5, so hopefully that sticks. Robert Tunyon has 1.3, and then Evan McPherson. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting out of that game alive. But stranger things have happened. Continuing on though with the Burn KC League. Crowhawks, my mom is beating Team Merrigan right now, 138.62 to 131.8. Looks like Team Merrigan has just Joe Mixon to play, while my mother has the Buffalo defense right now playing, and Evan McPherson playing as well. So I think my mom's got it pretty well secured there. Unless Joe Mixon can pull off something crazy. So, Berlin Twistikers are losing to the Average Joes, 133.6 to 80.68. I am sorry, Braden. This has kind of been a bad league for you, man. It's been a bad league for both of us, but it's okay. It's just sports, right? Continuing on though, I think the Average Joes have that in the bag, winning by 53 points, and unless Tyler Bass can kick 9 million field goals, or I guess Gabe Davis is on. But yeah, I guess you got Gabe Davis and Tyler Bass out there that could possibly save that game for you. Tyler Bass kicks 9 field goals, and Gabe Davis scores 3 touchdowns. So, all the luck to you, Brandon. I hope you can muster up another win. Probably not tonight, though. Kansas City Steinleys are beating up on Kansas City Plowboys, 117.54 to 72.6. Plowboys do have 2 more players that they're playing right now, and Alan Lazard, who is injured, mind you, and Aaron Rodgers, who is kind of bad right now and showing his age. Sorry, Grandpa, it's the truth. But wow, you have Stephon Diggs on the bench, Steinleys. What are you doing? And you still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in your starting lineup. Goodness, and you're still beating Mike, come on. But yeah, they have T. Higgins left to play. Let's go to the rankings, though. So, Team Berrigan still at 5-2. Could be 5-3 by the end of this week, though, if the Crowhawks can pull it off here. And then Average Joe's, the Berrigan brothers, ruling the league still. Average Joe's are 6-1 right now. And then it's kind of just a pretty decent sized gap from there. Those top 2 teams, and then you got the Steinleys at 4-3, Plowboys at 4-3, Team 5 at 3-4, Brown Twistakers at 3-4, my mom at 2-5, and then there's me, 1-6. Just this once. I wish we could just keep the same teams throughout fantasy football. I really do. Because I would have my rugby one in a heartbeat. I mean, let's read how beautiful this lineup is, ladies and gentlemen, folks of all ages. Let's read how beautiful this lineup is. What's that? So, we've got the almighty Kirk Cousins coming in at backup quarterback as our dear boy Justin Herbert is on a bye right now. But that's okay, because Kirk Cousins got his 22 points today. My boy Kirk. Dude, swimming in Cole's cash. Swimming in it. And then we got Damian Harris, who's a serviceable back. We got Kareem Hunt, who has not played yet. Damian Harris got a 7.2 points today. Stephon Diggs already has 10.5 points. He is my workhorse wide receiver until you hear this next name, of course. And that's Jalen Watt, who has been a surprise this year at 30 points today, scoring 2 touchdowns and going for 106 yards. That's solid. And then we have Pat Freiermuth at backup tight end. Unfortunately, Travis Kelce is on a bye, but he's my normal starting tight end. And then we got Jerry Jeudy, who did pretty well today, as well as Zay Jones, Brandon McManus, and the Packer defense. You guys doesn't matter in fantasy football. Don't let the naysayers say so. But that's our show. 54 minutes in, almost an hour. So I told you it was going to be a big one. Got some articles coming up in the next week. Shouldn't be too terribly busy of a week, so those should be released on schedule. I will be live at the November 5th KU Oklahoma State game at 2:30 on Saturday. So if you're in the area, catch me there. I'll be sitting in section, I believe it was 76, something around there. I don't know. You would think as a former KU athletics employee, I would know our facilities front and back. I really don't. I know Allen pretty well, but Memorial Stadium is just kind of, it's one big circle and it all looks the same, so it's kind of tough. Um, but still a great stadium. Still home to Jayhawk Football, which is doing pretty decent this year. Hopefully they can get that one more win to be bowl eligible. I think they have every chance to get it this coming Saturday. Yeah, you're going to be dealing with the Oklahoma State team that's coming off a pretty vicious loss against a pretty vicious K-State Wildcat team that you still haven't played. But I don't see how KU couldn't be bowl eligible by the end of this week. It's by all means possible. Let the dream season continue. Let Mizzou and K-State fans, let us live. This is the best we've felt in 13 years. Please, just let us live. This has been the Burn KC, though. Signing off for the night. You all have been wonderful. If I forgot anything or omitted any viewer comments or anything like that, don't hesitate to let me know. Love it when my fans come in and tell me, hey, that's not right. I do. I take criticism very well. Don't get me wrong. But yes, no, seriously. Like, if I omitted anything or if I forgot your comment, my sincerest apologies first and foremost. And yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But this has been the Burn KC signing off. Have a great night. Happy Halloween for those that choose to celebrate. Eat lots of candy. Steal your kids' candy. Steal other people's candy. You know, it's a good holiday to start stealing things. For legal purposes, that was a joke. Please do not steal from other people. Stealing is wrong. Stealing is bad, unless it's against your kids. This has been the Burn KC, signing off. Good night.